Good day, you're watching Businessworld Live. I'm Danie, Laurel.
And I'm Delos Santos. Here are today's top stories. More rate hikes in the offing. BSP Governor Felipe Medalla signals further monetary tightening next year as the Bangko Sentral aims to bring inflation to near 3%.
The country's balance of payments swings to a deficit in November.
On the corporate front, Emperador increases its public float to 20%.
And just a few days before Christmas, business is booming for online sellers of Lechon. Let's begin our broadcast with Bangko Sentral Governor Felipe Medalla signaling more policy tightening in 2023. Now, Medalla says the Monetary Board's goal is to bring inflation closer to 3% by the third quarter of next year. Now, recall that inflation accelerated to a 14-year high of 8% in November, while the BSP has hiked rates by a total of 350 basis points since May. This brings borrowing costs to 5.5%. That's the highest since 2008 of November. Medalla says the BSP may consider smaller rate hikes next year as he reiterates that a pause is unlikely after the first two meetings next year.
One cannot rule out na after two meetings, wala na. But again, given that the nature of the surprises, one can never say never. It's hard to say what the necessary rate will be for two reasons. One is we really don't know how prices what actual prices will be realized. The second is we also don't know what's going to happen outside.
The country posted a balance of payments deficit in November. BSP data showed BOP standing at $756 million shortfall in November. That's wider than the $123 million gap a year ago, and the biggest since the $2.34 billion deficit in September. The November deficit was a reversal of the $711 million surplus in October, which was largely brought about by the Marcos administration's first bond issuance that raised $2 billion. The BOP refers to the summary of the country's economic transactions with the rest of the world within a given period. The November gap came as more dollars flowed out of the country to pay for the government's foreign debt and as trade deficit continued to widen.
Investment pledges approved by the Philippine Economic Zone Authority or PEZA more than doubled this year on the back of several big-ticket projects. PEZA says it approved 198 projects that are expected to generate 140.7 billion pesos this year. That is 103% higher than the 69.3 billion pesos worth of investment pledges in 2021. Investment approvals this year were also the highest in 4 years since the 140.2 billion pesos recorded in 2018. PEZA says the country's eco-zones and high-performance investments are back to pre-pandemic levels and have even surpassed the 2018 level. Now, with the latest figures, the Investment Promotion Agency has also surpassed its 2022 growth target of 6.7%. In other news, some commuters have looked through unconventional channels such as dating apps just to book a ride this holiday season.
Ganda ka ng diskarte. However, the LTFRB cautions against hiring private vehicles as an alternative mode of transport. Gerard de la Peña with a story.
Commuting is a daily struggle for Troy, who resides in Quezon City but works in Makati. Just last Saturday, he had to attend to a commitment. But since taxis and TNVS are hard to come by, he resorted to booking a ride through a dating application.
Halos magto 2 hours na kaming nagbo-book dito sa bahay. Medyo desperate na and nahiya na ako sa friend ko kasi hinihintay na niya ako. So sabi ko, kailangan ko nang isipan ng discard ito. So nag-book ako, nag-open ako ng Grindr. Tapos sabi ko, maghahanap ako ng may coaches profile picture. So yun, minessage ko siya. Sabi ko, can you drive me to the place? Tapos babayaran ko.
This is not the first time that Troy tried looking for other ride options. He also taps carpooling groups on social media.
Everyday naman nakikipagsapalaran tayo, 'di ba, pagkalabas natin sa gate natin. So it just so happens na ako pinipili ko makipagsapalaran sa mga hindi public transport. Kailangan talaga medyo creative ka in thinking of ways how to get around.
For the LTFRB, hiring private vehicles as a public transport alternative is not just unsafe, it's also illegal.
In fact, may mga na-apprehend na po kami doon sa mga social media postings po na yon. So patuloy din po yung aming anti-colorium operation po doon. Marami na pong kotse, no? Sedan po na na-impound.
The agency admits that there is a supply problem. However, they have yet to act on Grab Philippines' request to open more TNVS slots. For now, they are asking taxi operators to deploy more units. They are also issuing a stern warning against choosy drivers. Under Oplan Isnabero, taxi drivers who discriminate on passengers will be fined.
Marami po talagang pasaherong lumabas po ngayong holiday season po, no? Kaya nakikipag-coordinate kami sa mga operators na sana dagdagan pa nila ng pag-employ po ng mga drivers kasi may scarcity po tayo ng drivers. So patuloy po yung recruitment process po nila.
The agency is also calling on the public to report drivers who are either refusing or overcharging passengers. For News 5, Gerard De La Peña, we are One News.
The Securities and Exchange Commission, or SEC, has issued a memorandum which increases penalties on corporations that do not disclose their beneficial owners. Memorandum Circular Number 10 is set to take effect on January 1st. The regulator explains a significant number of corporations have yet to declare their beneficial owners with the Commission. This despite the promulgation of the 2019 revision on the General Information Sheet to include beneficial ownership information. Aside from higher fines, corporations could also face additional non-financial sanctions. This move comes in line with the recommendation of the Financial Action Task Force, which placed the Philippines in the gray list of jurisdictions subjected to increased monitoring for dirty money risks.
Emperador has increased its public float on the back of greater demand caused by its dual listing. The company expanded its public float to 20.1% from the 15.7% previously. Emperador says this reflects robust investor appetite for their stock and should improve the liquidity of the shares. Regina Capital's Luis Lumlingan says the increase in Emperador's public float was necessary for the stock to remain in the PSE main index. This after the PSE said it would raise the minimum public float requirement for its 30-member index to 20% from the current 15% by the year end.
Let's pause for a quick break, but coming right up after that. How are consumers preparing for the traditional Christmas Eve dinner in the face of soaring prices?
We'll talk to an industry leader when Businessworld Live returns. Stay with us.
Thank you, sir.
We should go on air now.
You're still watching Businessworld live here in One News. I'm Jess De Los Santos.
And I'm Danie, Laurel. Now, lechon vendors in La Loma, Quezon City have yet to feel the increased holiday demand as prices climbed days ahead of Christmas and the New Year.
But for online lechon sellers, business is booming. Gio Robles with the story.
What makes the best lechon for Noche Buena? Is it the crispiness or juiciness? For some, it's about getting the most out of your money. Since just like other commodities, lechon now comes at a higher price tag these days.
Siyempre, unang-una, budget eh. Hindi naman pwedeng bumili ka lang ng hindi mo kaya yung budget.
Over at La Loma in Quezon City, known as the lechon capital of the Philippines, prices of lechon have gone up to anywhere between 8 and 25,000 pesos. Before, prices settled between 6 to 20,000 pesos depending on the size. Chopped lechon meanwhile costs 1,000 to 1,200 pesos per kilo. Lechoneros in La Loma said consumers can expect an additional 1,000 peso increase on December 31, New Year's Eve. Some vendors in La Loma, though, have yet to feel the increased demand. But they're hoping that sales will pick up in the coming days.
Pagdating ng 24, ang tsaka December 31, yan ang bulto talaga. Yan, di na tayo magkando-gaga dyan eh.
Meanwhile, business is booming for some online sellers of lechon.
Out of 100%, that yung 30% na lang almost ngayon ang nagwo-walk-in buyers. Pero yung 70% online ordering na. Kaya ang ganda ng nag-boom ang online market.
One delivery rider said he makes 4 to 5 trips daily delivering lechon to various areas around Metro Manila.
Papunta po ako ng Ortigas ngayon, sir. Ano po yung dadali niya, sir? 2 lechon po na 10 kilos.
As for concerns on African swine fever affecting lechon sales, the La Loma Lechonero said there is nothing to worry about.
Alam nyo ba na napakahigpit ng Quezon City Veterinary Department? Sila ay nagbabantay sa amin 24 hours daily. 3 shift yan ang meat inspector nila. So it means ang lechon sa La Loma at ang baboy na niluto sa La Loma ay ASF free.
For News 5, Gio Robles, we are One News.
Will high prices of basic goods be the Grinch that steals Christmas this year? Let's find out if consumers are still able to get their spirits up for the holiday season with Stephen Kua, President of the Philippine Amalgamated Supermarkets Association, or PEZA. Sir Stephen, good day. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Jess.
All right.
Hi, Danie.
Is Christmas rush still a thing nowadays? Have things slowed down, or there's still last-minute shoppers here? And especially Danie and I were talking earlier about how heavy the traffic is and how hard it is actually to go out. Has that in any way affected as well the activity in your stores?
Yes, most definitely. Sales picking up. Foot traffic in supermarkets and malls are, they're filling up to the brim, no? The malls, no? Especially, no? So yes, you can feel the Christmas rush. No? Like you said, traffic is the first thing which indicates whether there's a rush or, whether, kung wala, kung non-existent.
Okay, sir, what is is the budget now for consumers? No, the DTI recently drew flack. They gave a 500 peso price guide for the holidays. You said before that was possible, but now, of course, limited budget. Or do people still have money for revenge spending, as they call it?
No flack needed for what TTI commented. No, I made a study myself, and around 620 pesos, good for a family of 5. Kaya.
Ano
Wow.
mabibili doon?
Kaya, you can go to the stores, no? Look, what you do is, I cannot tell you which are the Pagasa member stores, but if you go to the Pagasa member stores, you could probably ask the supervisors. They can give you advice on how to fit in Noche Buena meal for family of 5. Huwag naman matatakaw, no? Siyempre, no? I mean, huwag naman unli. Huwag naman unli, di ba? Oo. Pero yun, around 620 pesos,
Mabubusog
you
na,
have
sir.
around 4 dishes. 4
Ano
dishes
yan?
you can prepare. You're talking about, let's say, spaghetti,
Okay.
a meat product, no, in exchange for, ham, cheese, no, block of cheese, no, brick of cheese, drinks, no, and a dessert, no, yeah, or macaroni salad, no. So a mix of these, of course, not all of these, yeah.
Alright. Sir, can you compare the holiday season now compared to, for example, last year or during the pandemic, and compared to pre-pandemic era? How do people eat? How do they spend?
Well, I'd say the difference between this year and the other years is the rush is more last minute, and it's gonna be a faster rush because sandali lang. As soon as money comes in, it goes out. So they're waiting for the 13-month pay. They're waiting for ayuda. They're waiting for padala ng mga kamag-anak from abroad. No, but once it comes in, I'm sure it goes out. So it's gonna circulate very quickly. Money's gonna circulate very quickly the last few days. So, nabanggit kanina, lechon. Ang lechon, hindi mo bibilin 1 week ahead or 4 days ahead of Christmas, right? Yeah, you'll probably buy it. Yung mga umorder na ngayon na ihahatid ng delivery guy kanina, takot sila na wala nang mabilhan come December 24th. Yes, oo. So online, people are already buying, avoiding the traffic. Yeah, avoiding the traffic. Yeah.
What can you say as well about the price increases, especially for Christmas items? What's the level of increase that we've seen over the past few weeks? And new items which had at least the most notable increases, and how are consumers working around it as well?
Just like the request with MNLF, there's a ceasefire. Medyo wala nang increases, okay? Kasi delivery guys and distributors are already in a hurry to distribute their goods. Now, if there's a spike in the prices of goods, it's because the regular suppliers cannot supply anymore because of traffic, because of lack of supply, no? Because they've been distributed, no? So, some retailers will have to buy from wholesalers. When that happens, no, cost of acquisition goes up, and the prices on the shelves go up too. That's the reason why prices go up during Christmas. Not because retailers want to take advantage of the season, but it's because of the lack of supply. No? Kasi when they say lack of supply, hindi well distributed. May lugar na kulang, may lugar na medyo marami, sobra.
But there are no shortages naman.
Right now, there are certain sizes of certain. Like soda, for example, there's a certain size. The big one, the small one, no, I won't mention the size. Wala out in the market. And I said, is this sugar related? They said it's bottle related, PET bottle related. So it has to do with the packaging and not sugar naman this time, no. So ang daming factors at play, no. Pero yun na nga. But is there soda? Yes, there is soda in different sizes lang, not the size probably that you want. Yun lang.
Other than soda, may iba pa bang shortages? Like what you mentioned earlier.
Sugar, I asked, again, the smaller packs have gone a bit short. No? When you say smaller packs, 1/4 kilo. I guess people have been buying 1/4 kilo na lang because of budget. So, you have to buy the next biggest pack or share with your neighbor. No? Probably hati tayo or tig 1/3 tayo, di ba? I mean, there are ways of getting around.
So, mas mabilis na ubos yung medyo mga tingi-tingi. The smaller packs.
Yes. And when I said soda, even the smaller bottle, the smallest bottle is non-existent na ngayon. Medyo pahirapan ang
I'm curious, sir, after the 25th, nagda-dramatic price decrease ba? Or like nag-50% off ba? Because nobody's gonna buy the queso de bola after the 25th? Is that a good time to be buying?
Dani, may medianoche pa.
Okay. So hindi nagmumura from 25 to 31. Wala pa.
biglang nabigyan ka ng aguinaldo on the 25th or 26th, maghahabol ka pa diyan on the 30th. Oo, meron. May
Meron pa
naghahabol
rin.
dyan. So, hindi pa naman gagalaw ang presyo. Come January siguro. Pero yung mga department stores, yan, napansin mo, inventory sale has moved from January, the last few years, even pre-pandemic, has moved from January back to December. May November pa yata. End of November, nag-umpisa ng inventory sale. Inuunahan na nila para pagbalik ng mga OFWs during Christmas, they got the bigger share of the, the cash.
Sorry, I'll just ask that question again. Meron bang parang usapan yung mga supermarkets kung kailan nag-slash ng prices or when they're going to start these inventory sales? Is there a specific week that we need to be watching out for para those who couldn't afford during Christmas, baka they can have a late celebration na lang?
Yeah, Danie, Jester, in the buying public, I'd like to inform you that it's not the supermarket who decides on this.
Okay.
It's the supplier. It's the supplier. So the supplier, this is this is probably the distributor who asks the manufacturer, can we do this so that we can, hindi na ibalik at medyo mabawasan na, at the supermarkets are also probably requesting mag-inventory count na. Pahirapan magbilang, di ba? So, push out these items, i-discount na natin. So, the discounts come from the suppliers, not from the supermarkets. The supermarkets, the margins are so thin, there's no way we can, unless we're selling at a loss.
Okay, I'm also curious to find out, are there like traditional Christmas bestsellers that aren't doing so well this season?
I guess ham and queso de bola of certain brands, yung mga mas mahal, mas limited yung market, di ba? Although those who are well-to-do can still buy, and they can buy more than what they need, no? So I cannot tell right now this early kung there's a glut of these items, no? Pero kumbaga, after the season, then we can assess.
Sir, anecdotally, are people still cooking at home, buying products in the supermarket, or are they ordering online from restaurants? Are there studies that compare the two?
Good question. Before the pandemic, probably more of cooking at home. Kasi home cooked, luto ko yan, sarap galing mo, di ba? So there's that factor, no? Pero now that, because of the pandemic and nag-online ng tao, nasanay na ng konti, yung mga iba, nakipag-compete na yung online ordering versus home-cooked meals. So there is competition.
Sir, is that a threat to the supermarket industry?
Yes. Kasi siyempre, when you order, restaurants have to order their goods also, di ba? And they don't normally order from the same supplier or the same suppliers we have, no? Kasi you cannot just order all of a sudden Christmas lang tsaka ka mag-order. Kailangan may credit line ka, may established na yung relationship ninyo. Kasi they're afraid that you might not pay, unless you buy on cash, right? Which hindi rin mangyayari. So, they buy on cash from supermarkets. Supermarkets pay on credit to established relationship na kami with suppliers, di ba? So even for foundations and for relief goods, they cannot buy outright dun sa supplier unless kilala ng may-ari yung both the CEOs know each other, no? Unless that happens.
Especially for the smaller mom and pop shops, they still need to go through supermarkets. So meron pa ring advantage yun. Thank you so much for those updates and have a great Noche Buena with your family as well. Stephen Kua, President of the Philippine Amalgamated Supermarkets Association.
It's just a few days, Danie.
I know, sir.
Merry Christmas, sir. And those are the biggest stories on the economic and corporate front today. I'm Jess De Los Santos.
And I'm Danie Laurel. We are One News, all sides, all the time. But don't go away. We'll give you the latest on the local bourse when Businessworld Live returns. Stay with us.
And you're still watching Businessworld live here on One News. Now, Dan, thick of the holiday season, but we are also set to close the year in one of the what would have to be worst performances in decades, I guess.
Exactly. For the stock market globally and even the bond market, Jess, walang nanalo this year. I just wanted to show our viewers here very quickly, you know, the S&P 500 is down by close to 20% year to date. The Nasdaq, 33% year to date. If you compare that to our own index, we're down by close to 9% more than 9% year to date, Jess. Let's just take a quick peek at how we're doing, particularly this day. We are up by a touch. It's at 6,400 levels here, and you can see that, you know, the main contender here is one of the worst sell-offs we've seen in recent history of the bourse. PLDT as up by 4.5% and finally seeing some light of day here, but you do have some losers still here. ICTSI, AGI, and Aboitiz sitting out that rally, Jess.
But speaking of which, one house is saying that there's actually a floor to that crash by PLDT. Tell us more.
Exactly, and that seems to be the sentiment, at least for today, no? I mean, you can see quite a support level that's starting to form here. Traders are at least finding, you know, support. And as you mentioned earlier on, you know, there was lots of cautiousness about PLDT shares. They will be holding an investor briefing that's today at 2 p.m. And this, according to Astro Del Castillo at First Grade, PLDT will continue to be punished until investors are satisfied that the problems have been addressed. It was 7 straight days of decline. But like you mentioned, one house, which is Morgan Stanley, is saying that the capex overrun has been fully priced in. They even say that investors should continue to overweight PLDT. They said that there is going to be, you know, the tower sales, monetizing that might partially offset the impact. So according to them, buy it, enter it now. But of course, a lot of details still to be hashed out, and we'll be hearing from them at 2 p.m. today, Jess.
All right, let's wait for that. That's it for today, December 21, 2022. Join us again tomorrow at exactly 9:30 a.m. You can also catch us on Signal Play. Register for a free account now at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Jess De Los Santos.
And I'm Danie, Laurel. Stay safe, Philippines. We are One News, all sides, all the time.